And then the more I dig deeper into each topic, into Montessori and into Bitcoin, the more I see like the similarities I see. And Montessori is kind of the same. It's a lot about taking responsibility for yourself. She also says every child is their own master, kind of, and builds itself and develops just by itself.
Yeah.
Natural process, kind of. You just have to let it and not put in crazy stuff like what they do in public schools.
Jens. Wait, did I say it right? Is it
Yes.
Jens?
It's Jens.
I won't even try the last name. So what do they call you here in El Salvador? I guarantee they don't call you Jens.
No, Juan.
Juan.
They call me Juan.
So my son's name is John, and I don't know, for some reason, he's like Juan, and so they would call him Juan John. That was his name for like 10 years.
Love
Juan
it.
John. Where's Juan John?
But it also means the same. Like Juan means John, and John means Johannes in German, and Johannes means Jens. So it's all the same name.
Okay, so I guess it is the good translation of it. That's so funny.
Nice.
So tell us what brought you here to El Salvador.
What brought me in the first place was, I guess, a mixture between the Bitcoin law and COVID, because we wanted to escape German policies during the COVID pandemic, how they call it.
Was the lockdown pretty extreme where you were at?
Where we were at, officially yes, but what you do with it, it's up. I live in a super small village, so no one really cares.
They weren't ratting you out like the Canadians?
Nope. And I mean, I had the best time of my life because I didn't have to work. I still got my money, and I was going for hour-long walks in the mountains and in the forest. It was amazing, but
got old after a while.
Yeah.
So, but you were able to get on a flight and get out during that time, because I know in some places they couldn't even get on flights.
Yeah, that was always fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you chose El Salvador because of the Bitcoin law, or did you land somewhere else first, or where did you guys wind up? I think you were with your girlfriend,
checked,
right?
Yes, with my girlfriend, now wife. We checked the map, and where can you go if you're unvaccinated? And there were like a couple of countries left, and I've already been to Central America, and I know kind of the vibes and the mentality of Central America, and I was not that fine with Asia. I was not sure because I've never been there, so it was Central America, Mexico, because it was open, and then pretty soon El Salvador opened back up again too, and everyone could choose one country. So for me it was El Salvador because I skipped it when I did Central America the first time.
Yeah, most people used to. They would either fly over it or they'd try to drive through it all in one day. So they're so scared to be here.
And now's the hashtag don't skip El Salvador, which is super correct. And my wife chose Guatemala, and so we did Mexico, Guatemala, and then we ended up here and we loved it.
So did you guys spend some time in Guatemala first?
No, we spent time in Mexico, flew to San Salvador, and then I think like 3 or 4 weeks we went to Guatemala and came back because we loved it so much.
Yeah, we saw that with a lot of people during COVID. A lot of people headed to Mexico.
Yes.
And then after there, it just wasn't the right fit for them, and then they wound up heading to El Salvador. So.
And they were like, my parents were telling me our flight back was in December, just before Christmas. And then we were thinking and hesitating, are we really going back? We love it here. The situation in Germany is horrible. And when my parents say and tell me, please stay, it's insane here, please stay away, and they tell it for Christmas, then we knew, okay, it's serious. We don't do that in Germany.
When your parents are telling you not to come home for Christmas, things are bad. So how long were you here during that time?
We arrived like middle of November and stayed until in the end, end of February,
Okay.
with a little break in Guatemala.
And I want to get first into your Bitcoin story, but then we're going to talk about the hotel you guys wound up
Yes.
opening here. But I'm just curious, when did you buy that on that trip, or was that on a subsequent trip?
No, that was that trip
That
when
trip.
we really bought
So
it.
here,
Yeah. And
COVID.
it's an honor that you call it hotel.
It looks like it's got a lovely pool. It looks like a
Yes.
perfect place. So we'll hit on that later. But well, and you bought it the right time because yeah, that was if you were looking right now, you'd be paying a
Yes.
lot more.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So what made you decide you wanted to buy property here, like a place you had just visited, and you know you're only here for a short time?
Yeah, I think the potential. And I was always interested in real estate. And even when we were driving through Mexico, I always checked se vende. And I was texting, how much is it? And everything. And it was just the right moment.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the momentum. Everything was perfect. Then we bought 4 of us. So the risk was also not like crazy.
And these are these 3 of your friends from
Yes.
Germany with you?
Like
Okay.
my wife
Okay.
and 2 Canadians.
Okay.
So I
okay.
did not. I met them in El Salvador.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And the guy that bought with us, he didn't even see the land before he bought, because he was already back in Canada.
Okay. So was that a pain for everybody trying to get their funds into the country?
Yeah, it would have been easy with Bitcoin,
Yeah.
but the family that sold it, they were like, she was already super old. I think around 80 already.
Uh-huh.
And she was not that into Bitcoin. And yeah, let's do Bitcoin easy. And then, yes, it was kind of a pain. I remember it was like a week or 2 weeks of going from Zonte, or we stayed in Atami back then,
Uh-huh.
to the city every single day, just trying to open a bank account. And they won't let us open a bank account because we're not from here. And we didn't have like income or whatever.
Uh-huh.
DUI, NIT, everything you need. And that was really, really painful. And at the beginning, the family who wanted to sell, they just wanted to have like a check in the bank from a Salvadorian bank. And then we said, and like 1 transfer. And in the end, we made 3 transfers.
Okay.
My wife made 1, I made 1, and the Canadian couple back then, now not anymore, also made 1. So in the end, it worked, but it was, oh my God, it was not easy.
And when you sent the wires, did it take a while for them to clear?
Of course. I mean, it
It's
was.
such a
I think it was
horrible
another
system.
4 or 5 days, something like
you got
that.
lucky. I've had them held for like weeks sometimes. Yeah.
Then there was the weekend and everything, and in the end, we had to be at the notario at the specific day, and the transfer from my wife was still missing. And just like an hour before, it kind of appeared, or like they said, okay, I see it in here, it's pending, or it's like not through yet, but I see it's not there anymore. And in the end, we also made the transfer while we were all at the notario, and like they watched when we did the transfer, like the family who sold it.
Okay, so you transferred it to one account first, and then
we transferred it live.
Okay.
At our first date with the notario. And then like 5, 6, a week later, something like that, we got there and like made everything completely official.
Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying. So you had that
promesa venta,
something
how they
so you
call
transferred it with them, you signed the promise of sale, and then once it cleared, then they signed off on their part. Yeah, that's one of the tricky parts about buying property in El Salvador is they don't have an escrow process. And so there's, especially if you're bringing the funds from overseas, there's always the like, okay, do you sign, when you've sent the money, or when do you wait till it's actually received? And you never know what could happen in the meantime. I mean, somebody get hit by a bus, or there's lots of things so it's like a nerve-wracking. But you guys made it. You did it. You bought the property. So we'll get more into that. But first, I want to get some background and hear your Bitcoin story and what brought you to Bitcoin.
I think I'm always like, I was always a person with an open mind and open for like different ideas and innovations too. And then I was a shitcoiner. I started when a friend of mine told me, yeah, there is Ethereum, something, and I was like, is it like silver and platinum, aluminum, something like that? And then we bought XRP, and it went up so crazy back in 2017. And I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. And then it crashed. Of course, it crashed like crazy. And I was like, okay, probably not for me. And I still have it. Like, I bought Bitcoin to buy shitcoins I couldn't get with my euros. That's like, oh my god. And back in 2020, when COVID hit, I knew they're going to print money. I can count one and one. So we will get like crazy inflation. So, and with my teacher salary, I was still in education kind of, and it's super, super low. And I saved a lot of money because right now I can save way more, of course, because I earn more. But this was hard saved money.
Yeah.
And I say, no, government, you will not take it from me. I saved it a lot. I lived in the basement kind of during my 2 years of education as a teacher. And this money, I will protect it. And I was looking for ways. And then Bitcoin hit me again. And then I really began to dig deeper and say, that's it. That's how. And the more I'm into it, the more I'm like, how you say, the more I'm secure that that's what is with my values. What
you just realize that it aligns with everything you believe.
Yeah, it aligns perfect. And the more I get into it, the more it aligns, and you can really be your own bank, and you can really run your own node. And I mean, it's a process, and you go down the rabbit hole, but the more you go down it, it's like, oh my god, that's mind blowing. How did Satoshi or whoever, whatever it was, bless us with this gift called Bitcoin? You can just go like, what they always say, it's an opt-out. And that's what I use it for the most. And I love it.
So, but you didn't wind up staying here in El Salvador. So you wound up going back to Germany, correct?
Yeah.
And was that after the schools reopened? Because you were a teacher, and I believe now you're both a teacher and principal at a Montessori. I was like, what is that word? The Montessori school. So did you think about staying here, or was it just like, no, I need to go back? That's where my income is. And what's kind of the thought process of
that was
where
like,
you're choosing to live?
I would say it was for me, for my personal life, it was a really, they call it crunch time in the MBA and stuff like that. So it was really, I was not sure where I'm heading. I'm really homebound, but then on the same time, the opportunities are here, and Germany is going south right now. And it was hard. Then also the house where we lived in Germany was my grandma's house. She died when we, like 2 or 3 days after we got back, and I grew up with her. So I was in some sort of space where I just had to figure out everything. And then I got the offer that I can be a principal of a Montessori school. I also had the offer here at the German school in El Salvador, and I was comparing a lot, and I was like, "What?" But then in the end, it was easy, because being a principal at, in my case, a pretty young age, it was an opportunity I could not say no to. And right now, 2 years later, I would not say I regret it. It was best choice ever, because they also told me. And at first, I wanted to meet them and say, okay, I can't do it. I have a house in El Salvador. I can't be in school all the time. And they said, yeah, we're going to find a way. And I'm like, okay, let's go.
That's pretty, I mean, I don't know about in Germany, but for the US, that's pretty unusual. Like if you're a teacher, you're expected to be there during all of the school year. And
I mean, it's kind of the same in Germany. Yeah. As it's a private school, it's a little bit more open, more flexible, but still it's super uncommon. But now, as long as I deliver, they will let me be here my 4 weeks, 3 times a year.
Okay. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning before we went on air that that you see a lot of similarities to Bitcoin and Montessori. And in fact, I think we have a slide of you. I think you were presenting at the Bitcoin conference in Germany.
Yeah,
Is
in
that right?
Prague.
Prague.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. But it was in German that you were giving the presentation?
No, in English.
In English. Okay. Okay. I misunderstood that.
Yeah, this I was talking about the talk was kind of called Maria meets Satoshi or Satoshi meets Maria, because both of them are.
And that's the Maria. I'm assuming is the person who founded
That-
the Montessori
yeah,
method. Okay.
Yes, I mean that's really Maria Montessori that founded the Montessori method, and this, of course, is Satoshi Nakamoto. But she was a pioneer, and she was the first female in Italy that studied medicine and stuff like that. So she was visionary. And then the more I dig deeper into each topic, into Montessori and into Bitcoin, and the more I see like the similarities. I see super visionary, independence, self-independency and everything. And then I see Satoshi, he's promoting the same values. So for me, the values they share are super, super similar, because one of the main goals of Montessori is to get the child independent from the parents as early as possible. And that's like the independency. And
by learning how to do stuff on their own, like
yes,
they can make their own lunch or do
yes,
their own
yes,
activities, and they're not just waiting for their parents to do it
yeah,
for them.
And with Bitcoin, it's the same. You don't wait for someone to call you to tell you how much the inflation is right now and how much they indirectly rob you. So you just be your own bank and you decide by yourself. If you lose your keys, you're fucked, and that's it. And Montessori is kind of the same. It's a lot about taking responsibility for yourself. And I'm not sure I will describe it, because there is a German word for it, like the German Montessori vocabulary. But she also says every child is their own master, kind of, and builds itself and develops just by itself.
Yeah.
Natural process, kind of. You just have to let it and not put in crazy stuff like what they do in public schools.
So it's very anti-rote learning, just copying things or memorizing. It's more, I mean, I've been in some classrooms. They always have all kinds of things for the kids to play with and different activities for them to like learn on their own.
Yeah.
And
And if you Google like famous Montessori students, you will find like Mark Zuckerberg, the Prince William, Prince Harry, I think Jeff Bezos, like many entrepreneurs.
Because it teaches those skill sets at a young age.
And maybe also their parents already knew we won't let them into the public school system. So they see, oh, Montessori is good, we're going to use it for us.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the school system in El Salvador is changing, but in the past it was very rote learning. Like we have a friend, his daughter's in her math class here in El Zonte. They're what they had to do was write out from 1 to 1,000,000 like for the year. That just tons of just busy work that doesn't like facilitate any type of learning, but just something to. And so they historically here have been very focused on just that kind of memorization and not at all teaching the kids to think for themselves. And so we're seeing that kind of shift a little bit, but it's been interesting as there are some Montessori schools in El Salvador, and there's such a clash with the traditional system. So
I'm not that much into politics, and I'm not trusting any politicians. But if I would have to pick one, of course it would be Bukele. And I talk to the people here too, and they say like, yeah, Bukele, he's fine. And I say, is he really that good? And they all say yes. And I just hope because what he's doing right now, I think 90% of it or even more is super good. What I really hope for El Salvador, that he's also changing the educational system, because I see it too. that it's more also from the hierarchy.
Yeah,
You have
very,
like the teacher
very top
and you
down.
have the student, and like
Yeah,
yeah.
and that even transfers over into the workplace. It's
Yes.
very top down.
So what
People
I
are afraid
yeah.
to take initiative. They have to
Yes.
wait to be told what to do. And
Yeah, and I really hope that he's smart, that he also sees like this change and says let's do it different in the educational system as well.
Well, I'm already seeing it shift because especially now as you're having new companies flow in, they're looking for
Yeah.
employees that have the ability to think for themselves. And so you're seeing they're realizing that they need to shift the way they do things. The fact that they're rolling out Bitcoin curriculum across, at what we would call junior high age, like 7th, 8th grade, they're rolling out. I think it's 7th grade. They're rolling out curriculum. So I mean, that's to me shows that they are shifting. But these things are like it's like trying to turn a cruise ship. It's not, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
You got all the teachers that are used to doing it one way and they're resistant to change. And
Yes.
you've got to kind of push some of those out and bring some new blood in. And so it doesn't happen overnight.
Takes time,
but
yeah.
So, and we were watching a video before. We'll have to play that because I love that. It looks like you are taking advantage of your position at that school, the orange pill your students.
Yes, I do.
So tell us what's happening in this video here.
Yeah, what's happening in the video is that I downloaded Blink wallet for my, or like the Bitcoin Beach wallet for my students. They are super interested, of course. And I always say it's not bad that I'm not there for like 4 weeks, 2-3 times a year, because what they get, the open mind they get from me being away, is way more important than like if I'm there and I'm just telling them out of the books. And I installed the wallets with them, and as you already told the audience that we have a guest house in El Zonte, we have to pay la luz, the electricity. And it's working from Germany, 12-year-old student that paid our electricity bill from our classroom. Yeah. First, I sent him I think was the small electricity bill for like $16, something like that.
I would love to have my electricity bill look like that.
We have two. The other one is like 150 something, and this one is the second house.
Okay.
So I let him pay the cheaper one.
Yeah. But that's so amazing that, like from a video screen, they can make a payment and see it.
And it was instantly borderless, and they will learn it on a whole other level. You can't even kind of describe it because it's so intuitive. They have the experience. I mean, there is a lot of...
Look, I love that face.
Yes, he was super proud.
That's the lightning moment of you having that like go off of like, wow, that's amazing.
And now they get all their... I don't know, you give your kids money?
Allowance?
How you say if you give your kids like $10 every week?
Allowance?
Yeah, I didn't know the English word, but like they get their allowance now in Bitcoin, like 50%. Really? They want 50% in Bitcoin to save it, and when they're 18, they want to start a business or something like that.
That's awesome.
And I love that.
That was super awesome.
And I already know those kids, like not all of them, of course, but like I have some kids in there, they will challenge the systems, even in Germany for sure. And I love it.
So how has that been culturally for you to adjust to El Salvador? Because in my mind, Salvadoran culture and German culture are like on two ends of the spectrum. Salvadorans are very like last minute with everything.
Yes.
Like you plan an event and people start to get worried because, hey, nobody's like committed. And I'm like, no, don't worry. Like the day before, they'll tell you that they're coming, or they'll just show up. Even I knew somebody who got transferred here to run a hotel, and he was freaking out because he was looking. He's like, there's no reservations on the books. They're like, no, don't worry. Everybody books like right before. And so, whereas in Germany, I know people are much more planners. Things happen far ahead. Things are more regimented. So do you find like there's a big cultural difference for you?
I would say I embrace all sorts of life and all like the whole spectrum. So I love it when I'm in Germany, when I know, okay, it's on point.
Yeah.
Punctual.
It's going to be on time.
On time, yes. And I also love the easygoing, the chilled vibes in El Salvador. I love I love both worlds. Also here it's
And you're able to move back and forth.
Yes.
That's good, because a lot of
What-
people get frustrated with one or the other. Like they get used to
Yeah.
it here and then they go back and they can't do it, or they have a hard time adapting.
I
to
even
the,
see El Salvador some sort of some sort of a retreat for me too,
yeah.
because I come here, you change, you adapt because there's no other way, and you get more relaxed. You live way more in the moment, I would say. And every time I go back to Germany, I try to keep it up as long as possible. And then like 2 months or 1 month later, I'm also driving 120 to my school that I'm in time and whatever, and not being in the moment, doing this, doing that. And then I always know, okay, it's time for another
Time to go
4
back to El
weeks
Salvador.
for El Salvador, yes. And I love it.
So tell us about the hotel that you got, the crazy idea you had to start this with partners that
Yes.
you, at least one of them you didn't know, or?
I knew all of them.
Okay, you did know them. Okay.
And we met in Palmasito.
Okay, but you
But
didn't
like
know them
for
like from like before, like you
for
met
like
them
3
here.
or 4 days,
Yeah.
yes. And it was, I always say it was the universe that brought us kind of together. And as I was always looking for real estate and just being interested, then Valerie, the Canadian girl, she was also kind of into it. Hey, let's do something. And then we gained momentum, and someone was talking to the people here and said, "What is anything for sale here?" And we had a look at the first property. Then we had a look at another property. Then we had like 3 or 4 properties we had a look at, and it was not like a fit yet, because we were also thinking about, we want our own space. Everyone should have their own space, but we also want a place we can rent. And then some places didn't have a pool, which is kind of bad in El Salvador.
You need a pool in
Even if
Zonte.
if you live okay, still a pool should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially at the beach. If you're in the city, maybe not as much, but
yeah,
at the beach.
true. Yeah. And if you rent it, for sure you will.
Yeah.
You need a pool.
That's the first thing people ask.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we found the perfect space, and everything worked out. Like, it was kind of, and if people say to me, isn't it complicated or difficult? I would say it was kind of fine. We had like 3 to 4 weeks of where we were in the process, and we had to deal with the banks and everything. But in the end, it was kind of fine, and it was also like serious. Like, you buy it, you sign it, and because the people in Germany say, yeah, was it a real notario? And and I say, no, they have the same like we in Germany. You have like where you sign it in the municipality, and then with the taxes and everything, it's the same, yes. And they're like, okay.
So did you guys open up right away, or did you have to like do a lot of work on the place, or what was the kind of process for you?
It was used as a vacation home for a family in the city. So they already had 3 rooms for the girl, for the boy, and for the parents, kind of. And so we already had 3 rooms with private baño, with the private bathroom and everything. That was, of course, yes, that was of course perfect.
Yeah.
The house itself is pretty old and not in the best shape, and the rooms were painted in
bright colors,
rose and green and bright. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's the first thing we need to do. But then
we need to make these boring in German.
Yes. But then, some basic cleaning and stuff. But we had
a beautiful pool.
Yes, the pool is amazing. We love it, and it's big, and also the guests love it. That is one of our rooms.
Okay.
Yeah, we painted the wall white because I think it was also kind of green or something like that. And yeah, we didn't do much with that because also with the budget.
Yeah.
And
so it's very basic, but clean.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's basic and clean, and you have all the amenities you want as a traveler.
So you got your hammock spot. You got the little bit of ocean view there. You've got the pool.
Yes.
And I love because what we hear, one of the biggest complaints we hear from people all the time is it's so expensive in El Zonte. There's no like reasonable, options for, people that, especially like younger people that are trying to travel on an extreme budget. They want something more basic. A lot of times as people get older, I've seen it. I become softer. I want more. I need my AC. I need these things. But I remember when I was young, it was like, no, how long can I afford to stay for? And so I love to see that there's more budget options. So what do the rooms go for there? This is the Bitcoin podcast, so you gotta give it to us in sats here. So
it's 65,000 sats.
Okay. So very reasonable. And you have your own bathroom.
Yes.
Okay.
And we like really try to be the low end or like the low budget version of El Zonte because when we were traveling, we had the same issue. We were staying in Palmasito because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
And El Zonte was kind of expensive. It's getting more expensive day by day. Also, we already raised our prices too because we improved the place a lot as well. But we want to be a place where people feel welcome and feel home and like home away from home. And what we always hear from our guests is that that's exactly what they feel like. And so we're super happy about that. Not everything is perfect here. Sometimes the water isn't working, but I mean, I don't know if it's the same at the $300 hotels.
I mean, I think they have probably a little more reserves of water, but still for a lot of them, when the power goes out, They may have a generator for the kitchen, but not for, the whole thing. So it's slowly getting better. I feel like for a while it was getting a lot better, and then there's so much building and stuff here that I feel like it's like overtax the electric system, and so they have to keep upgrading it. And you see them; they're trying to keep up, but it's one of those things that you have those growing pains. So do you usually find that the people that are staying in the rooms there, are they usually people that come together, or do you feel like there's a lot of single travelers and then they kind of connect there, or is it a variety?
I would not. It's a variety, but I would not say it's a lot of single travelers that connect at the place. We're not like we're not hostel. We don't have the hostel vibes where it's a lot about party and everything.
Yeah.
But what happens for sure is that people connect and they have dinner together, something like that. But yeah, I would say a lot of couples, some individuals, and a lot of remote working people too.
Okay.
They rent for a month, something like that.
Yeah,
we had a lot of them too. And it's also.
And do you have a monthly rate for people that are? Yeah. Okay, so they get a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, and we have a super good Wi-Fi because like we really try to get the needs and fit those needs. Like private bathroom is super important for many people. Good Wi-Fi and reliable Wi-Fi is super important for many people.
Are you guys using Starlink or using the local service?
No, we have with the local service, but the best one, like the highest speed.
Yeah.
I think it's, for sure it's better than in Germany. My German Wi-Fi is not as good as here and not as reliable for sure.
Yeah. It's always funny when you're talking to somebody from here and they're the ones having internet problems. And lots of places in the U.S., the internet still sucks.
Wow.
So do you guys share the like management of this, or do you all do they kind of spend a few months a year too?
Yes.
Like I guess your wife's one of the partners, so I'm assuming she comes at the same time as you do. So.
Yeah, she comes at the same time.
Okay.
We already like I did 4 weeks and she did 4 weeks apart.
Okay.
But it's fine too.
Yeah.
And we try to share the 12 month of the year kind of. And we also work a lot with the volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers, and then they check for the place.
So you have a place for them to stay then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the 3 rooms we are renting, and then we have a smaller house below
that's the one
below
for
the pool.
The electric bill that they were paying for?
Yes.
Okay.
There are 2 rooms and 1 bathroom, and then we just built a new house on the land. Like 2 apartments, 2 floor.
Oh, nice.
And it will be like a little bit the more luxury version with AC
With AC.
and
Okay.
just newly built.
That sounds good to me. I'm as I've gotten older, I need my AC, so especially at night.
Yeah, here it's crazy.
Yeah.
We just arrived yesterday night again, and I will have 2-3 hard days until I adapted again to this heat here.
Yeah, it's warm here this time of year.
Yes.
When we get the good rains, it kind of cools things down.
Mhm.
But then the last couple of days, it hasn't rained, and so it's just hot. So do you have long-term plans to like expand this or to eventually move here, or do you just see this as like, hey, this will be a great place for our family long term to be able to like come and visit, or what's kind of the thought process?
Yeah, kind of like that. We want to have a place. Like first, I want a refugio for when things get really bad in Germany, because for sure I won't get in any war. For sure not for those politicians. Nope. Then I'm gone. I just will have to get the timing that it's
Yeah.
not too late.
Yeah, where you can't get out.
Yes. That's one a reason for that.
Real quick, a little bit of a side note, but I'm just curious. It reminded me, what has it been like in Germany the last few years with the war going on and with the pipelines being blown up? And I know there's been a huge reduction in availability of electricity. And from what I've heard, a lot of German companies and manufacturing have shut down because they just can't afford to manufacture in Germany anymore because of electricity prices. Is that happening, or is that not really happening, or what's your sense of that?
I would say it is happening because those companies shut down or they go to Switzerland, like Stihl, the famous chainsaw producer.
Oh, they make good chainsaws.
Yes, and they went from Germany to Switzerland because it's cheaper for them there.
It's cheaper in Switzerland.
Yeah, like the
because
production.
Because of the electricity costs.
I'm not sure what's I think taxes a lot too.
Okay.
And as I come from a really small village, people in my village, they just don't care. Like if no one has TV in our village, no one knows that there was COVID. Like really, no one knows. And then no one knows that there's a war in the Ukraine. But of course, with all the propaganda and the media,
have you felt it though in your utility prices? Has that been like a huge?
Inflation is a thing for sure. Yeah. We in my small village, we don't we just do whatever we want, kind of, and we're living happy.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't really get it when people say, "Oh, Germany is so bad right now, is it?" And it's like, where I live, best life ever. But when I'm in cities and everything, it's like crazy. It's also we have a big problems with refugees right now because they let in so many people, and also they pay money to everyone, and that's a huge issue.
Yeah,
and you have like the one part of Germans that say, "Oh, we need to welcome everyone, and we will." We have to get vaccinated 10 times, and we will obey and obey and obey. And they're like the more of the Green Party and everything. Yeah. And then you have all the other people, normal people, that say there are two genders, that there are they just want to live their life in peace. Yeah. Yes, and they just say, I can't do much about it. I will just do my best. Like my father, he can't do much about the politics right now. Yeah. But he for sure he's laughing at it. Like really, he's watching the news and saying, "No way, that's." I mean, in America, it's the same. It's kind of such a shit show right now. It's like a reality. I don't know. Do you know Idiocracy?
No, I feel like
you have to have a look. It's like playing in the year 2500, but it's closer.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
That's amazing.
So I sidetracked you, but you were saying you see it as a place to have as like to take refuge in if you need to get out of Germany.
Yeah. And also to spend a little time in winter, always with good weather, because when you're in Germany, May, June, July, August, September, amazing.
Nice.
Super nice. You have spring, you have autumn. But if you stay there like November, December, January, February, March, it gets long, and it's like it depresses you. So I also use it to just get my vitamin D.
Yes.
Here, and it also, I would also say it opens my mind, because in my small village, that's the problem with small villages, you can do whatever you want, but also you won't find like crazy Bitcoiners in every single house. And here, when I'm in El Zonte, we have guests at our place that are just so inspirational. You talk to them and they say like about blue light blockers and like then carnivore diet and stuff like that. And they're like, okay, wow, I can think about that. And I love those conversations. They fuel me.
Yeah,
I would say.
No, that's one of the great things about being here in El Salvador, specifically in El Zonte, is just I use this all the time, probably overuse it, but it's really like you're at a ongoing Bitcoin conference, because you're just be walking down the street and you run into other Bitcoiners, and there's just impromptu meetups, and it's like continually you're meeting. Today I had lunch with a guy that just like had reached out to me, and he's a Bitcoiner, and we're staying in a hotel just a few doors down from me. And so, we sit down and you talk and you connect right away. It's not awkward at all. So you have that connection. And
because if you already know someone is a Bitcoiner, the chances are high that this person already kind of know what the monetary system is all about. That this guy also assumes that there are two genders and not like, you kind of assume some sort of a common sense. Yes. And the same thing happens at the Bitcoin conferences. I'm always there and I'm thinking, whoa, those are the fucking most intelligent people on this planet. Like, what the fuck? And that's just super nice.
Yeah. So that's what, that's one of the things that I love about living here, is you've just kind of experienced that. I'm curious, in your last, so since you bought that in 2001?
2021. It was then 22, February 22.
So since you kind of come and go, do you see the rapid changes that are happening? Like, you're gone for 6 months, you can come back and you're like, wait, where'd that come from?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And at one point, I told my wife, because women are always more emotional, and she said like, this place is going to be different and everything. And I said, if it's going to stay like that, it will always be a chilled vibe, and it will be nice. We love El Zonte. And if it's change, our property goes up in value. So we win either way. Now it's changing. I just hope it changes so that also the community here also get its part.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's like what Hope House is doing, Jorge and also Bitcoin Beach. It's just amazing. Like, that's what I really appreciate while being here. I go to every recreo when I'm there on Saturday, and I see what values they teach.
Yeah.
They don't teach the values like, the Salvadorian, for some Salvadorian, clean is not clean for a German. And also on being on time is not being on time. And
Jorge's very on time.
Those guys, they really...
He'd have to remind me. He's like, hey, we're not on Salvadoran time here. Like, because I would start to show up late to things, because you just get used to that here. You're like, if you show up on time, you're sitting there and waiting. And he's like, hey, where are you?
Yes. Like, we go for runs a lot of times. Like, when I'm here, maybe 2 times a week, sometimes 3 times. And it's always like, you can't run at 10. You get roasted.
Yes.
So we always run at 6. And when I'm still brushing my teeth and I'm just making it at 6:01, it's like, hey, brother, you're late. You're late. And like, yes. And he's giving those values to all those leaders.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the community here is getting in a really good direction.
No, and just the opportunity, like you were saying, for me personally, like, it was great how it was, because I was getting my income from somewhere else, and I didn't need to try to make a living here. But you saw this kind of continual, the locals would have to leave, most of them going to the U.S. illegally, because they felt like that was the only opportunity they had. And so it worked well for me, but it wasn't working for the Salvadorans. Now you see they're building businesses. They're investing in properties. You're seeing these young entrepreneurs kind of rise up, and it used to be it's almost impossible to find a job. Now I hear complaints from the businesses like, oh, we can't find any workers. And you see in the morning, like the buses are dropping tons of people off from the surrounding communities because this has become kind of the engine of growth here in El Zonte. So while for me personally, like, yeah, it was great when it was a sleepy town, you also saw the downside of that, how people were suffering. And so now it's just great to see these young people with like hope in their eyes, and they have this, they're going to stay here in El Salvador. They're going to build a business. They're going to get a professional job. And so just a number of kids that, specifically through Hope House, that have now like gone to high school and then on to university. I mean, it's just amazing. Where you go back 10 years, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody in the community who'd gone to university. Now it's like becoming a common thing. So.
Yeah, that's crazy, especially because you're here already for way longer. So you see the process are also way better, because the last 2 or 3 years, so many things changed. But I can imagine.
Yeah, no, it was.
What stories you can tell?
There was, there was a lot of just depressing scenes here of, a lot of, alcoholism of men that just felt like there was no opportunity. And so, they'd just be like passed out drunk in the streets. And obviously when the gangs controlled everything, it was a very different place. Now there's just like, I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm lost in El Zonte because I go down the street and I'm like, wait, when did that get built?
Yeah.
And where is that coming from? And so it's exciting to see and to be a part of that, and to see the locals participating, but also the influx of people from around the world that are bringing skills to El Salvador. I'm very bullish on the future of El Salvador.
Yeah, for me too. And what I also see, like compared to Germany, for example, the youth in El Salvador, no, I don't know if you heard about like gluing themselves on the street and everything. They do that in Germany, like the climate.
The
I don't know.
protesters,
Yeah, the protesters. They glue themselves on the street, and then there's traffic jams and whatever. And I mean, this is sad.
Yeah.
And people here, or the youth, young people here in El Salvador, would never have this idea, because they see hope. They see a great future, and not like a dark future like we do in Europe.
They're optimists.
The yes.
Yeah. Which that wasn't the case 5 years ago.
That's crazy. It changed a lot.
So, well, I think that's a good positive note to end on, but I want to make sure, unless there's something else that we missed.
I think we have everything.
So we need to make sure people know how to book their stay with Four Amigos. What's the best way for them to find a room, and how can they follow you? I'm assuming you're on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, but not that
active.
Not that active. But I love your posts.
You need to be on there to promote
yes.
Four Amigos.
No, I'm on there. It's Jens 15,
okay.
which is a little bit complicated, but I think we can mention it.
Yeah, we can put it in the notes.
And we are on Instagram with Cuatro Amigos El Zonte.
Okay.
If you Google Cuatro Amigos El Zonte, or if you put it on Instagram, Cuatro Amigos El Zonte, and we are on Airbnb. I think we are listed top number 1 in all of El Zonte.
Okay, nice. Make sure, hey, if you rent their place, make sure to give them a good review on Airbnb. Is that the best way for people to book, through Airbnb, or is there a direct way that you guys prefer?
Instagram is the best, because then you can also pay with Bitcoin.
Awesome.
With Airbnb, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We try to get, or like we think about getting on AirBTC.
Yeah.
There are some.
I know they just launched like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually. I was perusing the site a little bit, but I don't know how functional it is yet.
Yeah, same for us. So I think we will put ourselves there, but for sure, right now, Airbnb is the way to go to get the most bookings.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Instagram is a super tool to sell, or like to present your business as well. It works.
You guys get a lot of bookings through that.
We get a lot of bookings, and mostly all of our volunteers. We put in like a story looking for volunteers, and they come.
Okay.
Right now, we're also looking for volunteers. So if someone wants to come, being a volunteer at our place, we're always looking for someone.
So what does that entail for them?
Taking care of our 2 lovely dogs when no one is here. Just making sure that the place runs smoothly, and just saying hi, welcoming new guests, coordinating the bookings, coordinating with our cleaner and our gardener. basically that's
In
it.
exchange for that, you guys
get
a
free
place to
stay, yes,
Okay.
and
Awesome.
you can enjoy the nice waves. in
So
Zonte.
for people who are looking to do it on a budget, that's definitely sounds like
Yeah.
the best way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, awesome. So volunteers, if you want to come down and spend a couple months, and what's the minimum time you guys look for them to commit to?
1 month
1
is
month,
like
okay.
minimum, I would say.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Anywhere else anything else we need to mention?
Come to El Salvador. That's
Yeah.
what we should mention, I think, for sure. And yeah, experience it. Experience Bitcoin country yourself.
Awesome. Yeah,
Spend your Bitcoin in El Salvador.
definitely spend your Bitcoin. Don't be one of those people that's afraid to spend their Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have any cash. You should have already gotten rid of all that. So, and come stay at Cuatro Amigos.
Yes.
If you're coming for either of the conferences, so we have the Adopting Bitcoin conference, which is mid-November, and then we usually do something in El Zonte afterwards. So I'm not sure if you guys are already booked up for those dates or not.
Super fully booked.
Full.
Maybe we can offer a tent on our roof.
So, but for you guys, since a lot of people don't know yet, there's going to be another conference, Plan B conference at the end of January. So if you're looking to come for that, make sure you book up, because maybe you guys aren't booked up for those dates yet. So, yeah, that's awesome. Well, I love seeing the progress that's happening. I love seeing your guys' vision and just your perspective on the hope that's here. So I appreciate your time volunteering in the community with Recreo and Hope House. And yeah, this was awesome. We'll have to circle back next year and hear about the changes that have come to Cuatro Amigos.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was an honor being here in this nice podcast where you interview Bitcoiners from all over the world. It's a big honor for me too.
It's fun. I do it just because selfishly I just enjoy. I get to meet people. I get to know them in an hour in a way that usually it would take days. So I love that format. So that's my excuse to.
Nice.
All right, guys. Thank you.